Good morning, everyone. So, in the passage that we've just heard, Jesus talks about sheep, and he says that sheep know the sound of their shepherd's voice and will follow him. And they won't follow anyone else. And I wonder, do you reckon that's true? What do you think? Let's have a find out, okay? I want you to guess whether you think the sheep that we're about to see in the video will follow somebody else or will only follow the shepherd. Hopefully it will play. It might just have a little delay, we'll see. Click again. There we go.
One more time.
Louder! There we have it. Sheep, apparently, because when I was reading this, I was like, I want to find out, is this definitely true? They do. It was amazing. As soon as the farmer started speaking then, you could see that one sheep's head just popped up. They knew it was their shepherd. And Jesus says that he is a bit like a shepherd. He wants us to know him so well that we can recognize his voice and respond. Now, let's have a think. What does that really mean? Because we're not really sheep, okay? And the Bible has lots of these sorts of stories and images in that we need to understand. So think about some of those people that you know them best, some of those people you spend the most time with. You'd be able to know it was them speaking to you, even if you perhaps couldn't see them. Think about things like parents often know whether it's their baby or child crying. It's fantastic. I can be in a playground and if I hear a cry, I can be like, no, I don't need to respond to that. It's not mine. Some of you might have friends where when they knock on your door, you know instantly who that person is. It might even be that you have little phrases or jokes or things that people say that you know exactly what they mean because you know them so well. So, for example, if my daughter is stood at the top of the stairs and she's about to jump down, Rowan, what will you shout if you're at the top of something you're going to jump? No. Oh, she's not playing now. She shouts cat poo. Okay, and I know exactly what cat poo means. It's become a thing. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it was from when she was learning to talk initially. She used to shout cat you at me. And now it's become a joke that she shouts cat poo at the top of the stairs, and it means I've got to get ready to catch. There are people that we know really well, that we know they are talking to us, they are trying to tell us something. Sometimes we don't even need to talk and use words. Maybe you've got a friend who can just look at you and know you're having a bad day and give you a hug. There was one occasion, I was with my dad and my sister in my grandmother's hallway, and my mum turned around and said, come on, it's time to go. And the three of us, with barely a glance between us, all started shuffling down the hallway like this, jammed together. We didn't have to speak, we didn't have to plan a little joke, we just knew exactly what we were all thinking. And Jesus is saying, he wants a relationship that's that close with us, that we know how to hear him, and we know how to understand what he's saying, even if it seems a bit odd or confusing. Hearing Jesus is hard, though. We don't really mean that we actually hear a voice in our heads, although some people that does happen occasionally. Instead, Jesus might use the people or the things around us to give us ideas, to give us messages. So I wonder, what things might Jesus use to talk to us today? I'm going to give you... Oh, my clicker's not working. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, one minute, 9 seconds, to talk to the people next to you. See if you can come up with some ideas. How might Jesus talk to us today, even if that doesn't mean that we're necessarily hearing a voice? Go. Okay, 20 seconds. You're right.
All I did was got them out of the hall and told Monica because it's just a bit gooey.
Thank you. Okay. If you could bring those ideas quickly together. What ideas did we have? How might Jesus speak to us today? What ideas did we have? Sorry. Yeah, through our feelings. Yeah. We might get a feeling about something. Sorry? Yes. Yeah. When we get that feeling of just sort of something isn't quite right, maybe that is Jesus saying something to us. Go on. Pardon? Prophecy. Wow, fantastic word. Do you want to explain that a bit more? You don't have to. Yeah, really good attempt there. Fantastic. Well done. Give him a round of applause. The idea, so he was talking about prophecy, the idea that, you know, we might have words of warning or encouragement given to us, words from other people. Okay, what other ideas? How else might Jesus speak to us today?
Bible.
Through the Bible. When we're reading, we might get an idea about what something Jesus wants us to do or is saying to us particularly. Sometimes we read a passage and it just really resonates. Okay, these are some of the ideas I had. So some of them are very similar, I'm sure, to things you came up with. Things like when we come to church and we hear teachings, we hear sermons, Jesus is speaking to us. It might be through conversations with friends. It might be through reading the Bible. It could also be through things like looking at a piece of art or listening to music or watching a film. I often watch a film and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about this. It might be through being out in nature. And it may be that actually through our actions, through looking after other people, we learn something and Jesus speaks to us as well. Now, in the passage, Jesus also said that there were strangers and thieves who were trying to take the sheep away. And here, Jesus is talking about the things that might get in the way of us hearing from him. Now, when he originally said this, Jesus was also having a bit of a dig at some of the people around at the time. But today, we have slightly different things that distract us, that steal our attention away, and we've thought about some of those in our confession already. We're busy. We're always on the go. We forget to stop And that actually, I think, is one of the biggest things that gets in the way of us hearing from Jesus. We might feel like we want more stuff. Social media might get in the way. I can sit and scroll and I forget that actually, if I've got 5 minutes to sit and look at Facebook, that's probably actually 5 minutes I could be praying or spending a little bit of quiet time. Being worried about how other people view us. Pressures to be good, to get the best from our exams, to live the best lives, to be the best parents. All of these things can get in the way from knowing and listening to Jesus' voice. Why does Jesus want us to know his voice so well? What do the sheep do in the story when they hear the shepherd? What do they do? What did the sheep do in the video? They recognised, they followed, they had to move, didn't they? They didn't just stand around in the field and carry on grazing. They had to respond. And at the end of our passage, Jesus says he wants to give us a rich and satisfying life. He's inviting us to do life with him and tells us that it'll be a good life. Not necessarily easy, but it'll be rich. It'll be something where it doesn't mean we necessarily get lots of money, but that we'll have something good in our lives. It'll be a life full, and it'll be a life of joy, even when things are difficult. As well as it can be difficult sometimes to hear Jesus' voice, also, sometimes responding to it can be really scary. Sometimes we just don't want to do what we're being asked, do we? I'm stood here today because I heard Jesus' voice, and I've got to be honest, I didn't want to follow it at first. When people kept saying words like ordination to me, I was like, no. I didn't want to. But actually, it's been a bit of an adventure, and as I've taken the steps out, yes, it's scary, and yes, there's lots to do, and there are plenty of times where occasionally I take a step and think, why am I doing this? It's also really exciting. The things Jesus is calling to you might be a little bit different for you. It might be that Jesus is simply calling you to say, come and learn more about me, come and hear more stories. It might be that Jesus is calling you to give a little bit more time and saying, hey, you've got a bit of time, perhaps you could use it serving at church. I do know there are a few rotas and roles that need filling, so. Perhaps it might be that Jesus is saying, there's somebody in your mind that Jesus is saying, look, they need a friend, go and talk to them. It might be to simply help out at home more. Maybe the call is to apologise to somebody and mend a difficult relationship. Maybe the thing Jesus is saying to you is actually to do less and to make time in your day so that you can practice listening more. Jesus is speaking to us all. Jesus is calling us all, and it's an invitation to an adventure. It's up to us to respond. Let's make a bit of space now to listen. Thank you that you are calling us, Jesus, that you know us really well and you want us to know you too. Help us to listen in all the many ways that you speak to us, and give us a bit of bravery to respond when we hear you call. Amen.